Hello, I'm Dr. Thianto. I am Professor of History of Christianity and Reformed Theology at Calvin Theological Seminary in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Today, I would like to introduce you to my most recent book, An Explorer's Guide to John Calvin. In this book, I'm introducing the readers to John Calvin, the 16th century reformer whom I call my good friend. I have read a lot of his writings and I have learned so much about him in the past 3 decades of my life. And so it is my passion to introduce him to the wider readers. I divided this book into 2 parts. The first part is an introduction to John Calvin as a person, as a pastor, as a teacher, and as a theologian. And in the second part of the book, I discuss the main theological themes of his most famous theological work, The Institutes of the Christian Religion. When you read this book, I hope you can catch what I attempt to do, namely to invite you to sit together with Calvin, to get to know him better in his leadership as a reformer in the church in Geneva in the 16th century, but also in the joys and the challenges that he saw in his life as a pastor and as a reformer. I went through some of his letters because I'm convinced that if you want to know more about a person and you happen to have their letters, then you can read them and you can get to know the person better. I learned through his letters that he was a man who could sympathize with people who underwent a lot of sorrows. He wrote letters to people who mourn, to parents who just lost their child, or to a spouse who just lost their husband or their wife. And his letters are very touching. And also, I read, and in this book, I wrote this on how he wrote to people who were persecuted because of their faith. So through all those letters, I learned more and more about how Calvin sees his ministry in the church. Also, in the first part of this book, I answered the most frequently asked questions about Calvin and his impact in Christianity. By reading the questions and the way I answer those questions, I also hope that the readers can get a deeper understanding of Calvin. So, as you are preparing your essay for the Meter Center Award, I invite you to take a look at this book, read this, and I hope this book can give you some ideas on how to write your essay. Thank you.